They agreed not to kiss, but the way his eyes kept drifting to her lips made the promise feel like a lie waiting to happen. The first time it happened, it was humiliating. Not dramatic, not cinematic, just quietly, painfully humiliating. Maya stood in the lobby of the Meridian Tower, clutching a cardboard coffee tray that was cutting into her palms, while a line of executives in tailored suits brushed past her as if she were part of the furniture. The security guard had already waved her through without looking twice. To him, she was just another assistant, another errand runner delivering caffeine to people who mattered more. Careful, someone muttered, shoulder-checking her hard enough that one cup sloshed dangerously close to the lid. Sorry, Maya said automatically, even though she hadn't been the one who bumped into him. That was her reflex. Apologize. Shrink. Move out of the way. She had learned it young. At 28, Maya Ortiz had 2 degrees, spoke 3 languages, and had quietly built half the systems that kept the Meridian Tower's top floors running smoothly. But none of that showed on the outside. What people saw was a woman in practical flats, hair pulled back in a no-nonsense bun, wearing a company badge that read administrative support. Low status. Invisible. Safe to dismiss. Is that mine? A sharp voice called from behind her. Maya turned to see Caroline Vance, senior project director, impeccably dressed and perpetually displeased. Yes, ma'am. Hot milk latte, no foam. Caroline took the cup without thanks, already scrolling through her phone. You're late. I got held up at security, Maya said softly. Caroline didn't look up. Excuses don't change outcomes. Next time, plan better. Next time, Maya thought, swallowing the familiar burn in her chest. She turned away before Caroline could say anything else and walked toward the elevators, her shoulders tight, jaw clenched. The doors were closing when a hand shot out, stopping them. Hey, wait. The voice was warm, familiar, and entirely too dangerous. Ethan Cole stepped into the elevator beside her, tall, effortlessly confident, wearing a dark jacket that probably cost more than her monthly rent. His hair was slightly messy in the way that suggested he never tried and never needed to. People liked him instantly. Doors opened for him, literal and metaphorical ones. He glanced at the coffee tray, then at her face. You okay? Maya forced a smile. Fine. Ethan didn't buy it. He never did. They'd been best friends since they were 17, back when Ethan was the boy who stayed late after school to walk her home because her neighborhood wasn't safe after dark. Back when Maya was the scholarship kid and Ethan was the one everyone expected great things from. Somehow, the world had only noticed one of them. Now, Ethan was the Meridian Group's youngest external strategy consultant, brought in for his vision, his instincts, his leadership presence. Maya was still delivering coffee. You look like you're about to throw that tray at someone's head, he said lightly. Tempting, she admitted. The elevator doors slid shut, sealing them into the quiet hum of upward motion. Ethan leaned casually against the wall, but his eyes stayed on her face, attentive in that way that always made her feel seen and unsettled. You know, he said, you don't have to take that from Caroline. Maya laughed, short and humorless. She signs my performance reviews. So I need my job. Ethan frowned. You deserve better. She looked away. Everyone says that. But I mean it. There was that look. The one that lingered a second too long. The one that made her heart do something inconvenient and traitorous. Maya adjusted her grip on the tray. Don't start. I'm not starting anything. You always do, she said gently but firmly. The elevator chimed, doors opening on the 23rd floor. Maya stepped out quickly, grateful for the interruption. Ethan followed. They walked in silence for a moment, past glass offices and polished floors that reflected a world Maya moved through but was never invited into. Maya, Ethan said finally. You called me last night. Said it was urgent. She stopped walking. He stopped too. I didn't know who else to call, she admitted. Javier showed up again. Ethan's jaw tightened. At your apartment? Yes. Flowers. Big speech. Neighbors watching. She exhaled. He wouldn't take no for an answer. Did he touch you? No, she said quickly. But he kept saying things. Like he knew me better than I knew myself. Like I'd regret leaving him. Ethan's hands curled into fists at his sides. That's not okay. I know. Did you tell him to leave? Yes. And he said he would once I stopped pretending and admitted I was alone. Ethan swore under his breath. That's why I called you, Maya said quietly. I needed to hear someone say I wasn't wrong. You're not, Ethan said immediately. You never are. She smiled sadly. You're biased. Damn right. They stood there, the noise of the office fading around them. For a moment, it felt like the world had narrowed to just the two of them, as it often did. That was the problem. Listen, Ethan said, hesitation creeping into his voice. I have an idea. Maya's stomach dropped. I don't like the sound of that. You never do. But this one could work. She crossed her arms. Say it. He took a breath. What if we stop pretending you're alone? She stared at him. I'm not pretending. You know what I mean, he said. What if we make it clear you've moved on? Completely. Her pulse quickened. Ethan. Just hear me out, he said. Javier thinks you're single. Vulnerable. Waiting. If he thinks you're taken, really taken, he backs off. By who? She asked, even though she already knew. Ethan met her eyes. Me. Silence crashed down between them. No, Maya said instantly. Absolutely not. Why not? Because it's insane. It's effective. It's a terrible idea. Usually your terrible ideas involve spreadsheets, he pointed out. She rubbed her temples. Ethan, we're best friends. Exactly. That's not a reason. That's the reason we shouldn't do this. He softened. Maya. I would never hurt you. I know, she said. That's what makes this dangerous. They stared at each other, years of history humming beneath the surface. Every shared secret. Every late-night conversation. Every almost that never became something more. Okay, Ethan said slowly. Rules. She blinked. What? If we do this, he continued, we do it clean. Clear boundaries. Her heart thudded. We're not doing this. Hypothetically, he said. She sighed. Fine. Hypothetically. No kissing, Ethan said immediately. The words hit harder than they should have. Maya raised an eyebrow. That was fast. I'm serious, he said. No kissing. No crossing lines. We act like a couple in public, enough to be convincing, but that's it. And then what? And then when Javier backs off, we stop. She searched his face looking for cracks. For arrogance. For manipulation. She found none. And what about work? She asked. People already don't take me seriously. They will, Ethan said. Because I'll make sure they do. That scared her more than anything else. You can't fix my life by pretending to be my boyfriend, she said softly. I'm not trying to fix you, he replied. I'm trying to protect you. Maya closed her eyes. She thought of Javier's voice. Of Caroline's dismissive tone. Of the way people spoke over her, around her, through her. And she thought of Ethan, who had never once made her feel small. 1 month, she said. Maximum. Ethan nodded. 1 month. And we tell no one the truth. Agreed. And, she added, meeting his gaze, no kissing. Not even once. His eyes flicked, just briefly, to her lips. Then back to her eyes. No kissing, he said, voice steady. They shook on it. Neither of them noticed how close they were standing. Or how the air between them felt heavier than it should have. Later that night, Maya lay awake in her apartment, staring at the ceiling, replaying the moment in the elevator when Ethan's gaze had lingered just a fraction too long. She told herself it meant nothing. After all, they had rules. And rules were supposed to keep people safe. By the next morning, their fake relationship wasn't just a plan. It was a wildfire. Maya knew at the moment she stepped out of the elevator on the executive floor and felt heads turn, fast, curious, hungry. The Meridian Tower always buzzed, but today the air felt charged, like everyone had been handed the same secret and told to pretend they didn't care. She clutched her notebook to her chest and forced her walk into something steady. Normal. Professional. Invisible. Except she wasn't invisible anymore. Not after Ethan had posted the photo. It was a simple picture taken on the rooftop garden the night before. Soft lights, city behind them, her laugh caught mid-moment. Ethan's arm was around her shoulders like it belonged there. His caption was short. Found my peace. No dramatica non cement. No chisierts. Just enough to make it feel real. The comments had exploded. And now, at work, Maya could feel the ripple effect in real time. Is it true? Whispered someone as she passed. I knew it, another person murmured. I knew they were a thing. Maya kept her eyes forward. She'd always hated being watched. Today it felt like every step belonged to an audience. At the end of the corridor, Caroline Vance stood outside the glass meeting room with 2 other directors, sipping her espresso like she owned oxygen. When her gaze landed on Maya, her mouth tightened. Ms. Ortiz, Caroline said, voice sweet in the way that meant poison. A word. Maya stopped. Yes, ma'am? Caroline's eyes did a slow, deliberate sweep over Maya's outfit. Simple blouse, black slacks, nothing that screamed for attention. Caroline looked disappointed anyway, as if Maya had personally offended her by not wearing diamonds. I'm hearing interesting things, Caroline said. Maya's stomach tightened. About what? Caroline smiled. About you. The two directors beside her, men in expensive suits with expensive indifference, watched Maya like she was a curiosity, a small thing that had wandered into the wrong hallway. People are saying you're dating Ethan Cole, Caroline continued. Maya kept her face neutral. Yes. Caroline's smile widened slightly. And how convenient. Maya's cheeks warmed. Convenient? Caroline tilted her head. You've been struggling lately. Missing deadlines. Making mistakes. Then suddenly you're attached to the company's golden boy. It's almost strategic. The word landed like a slap. Maya's fingers curled around her notebook. I haven't missed deadlines. Oh. Caroline's brows lifted. Didn't the communications packet go out with the wrong attachment last week? Maya blinked. That wasn't. And didn't you misfile the vendor contracts? That was. And didn't you show up late to the client prep call? Maya opened her mouth then closed it. Because she knew exactly what Caroline was doing, stacking half-truths, twisting context, turning normal human error into a character flaw. Because Maya was the easiest target. Because Maya didn't fight back. Caroline leaned closer, voice dropping. This isn't a rom-com, Ms. Ortiz. Relationships don't buy competence. Maya's chest tightened with anger, and something else. Fear. Because Caroline wasn't just teasing. Caroline was setting a narrative. And in corporate life, narrative was power. Maya forced herself to breathe. I'm competent, Ms. Vance. Caroline's eyes sharpened. Then prove it. She turned and walked into the meeting room, leaving Maya standing there like a dismissed intern. The directors smirked faintly as they followed. Maya stood frozen for a moment, heart hammering. Then she walked away, fast, controlled, refusing to let her steps turn into a run. But inside she was shaking. You've been struggling lately. Maya wanted to laugh at the cruelty of it. Because yes, she'd been struggling. Not because she was bad at her job, but because the last 3 months had been a constant war of small humiliations. Javier showing up uninvited, leaving flowers at her door, texting from new numbers when she blocked him. Sleep stolen by anxiety. Workdays spent trying to act normal while her skin crawled with unease. And Caroline knew it. Caroline had smelled weakness like blood in water. Maya pushed into the women's restroom and locked herself in the farthest stall, pressing a hand to her mouth to keep from making a sound. She hated crying at work. Hated it. It felt like proof that people like Caroline were right, that she was too soft, too emotional, too easy to break. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. A message from Ethan. Where are you? Maya stared at the screen. Her chest felt tight. She typed back, bathroom. Fine. The typing bubble appeared instantly. You're not fine. She swallowed. Caroline's being Caroline. Don't make it a thing. Pause. Then I'm coming. Maya's heart jolted. No, she typed fast. Then don't. Too late. She heard the restroom door open. She held her breath as footsteps crossed the tile, confident and purposeful, then stopped outside her stall. Maya, Ethan said softly. Her throat tightened. You shouldn't be here. I don't care. She sat on the closed toilet lid, staring at the crack beneath the stall door. People will talk. They already are. She closed her eyes. Ethan, this is exactly what I didn't want. I didn't want you to swoop in and save me and make me look like I can't handle my own life. His voice lowered. Who made you feel like you have to handle everything alone? Maya's eyes burned. She hated how easily he reached the places she kept guarded. She took a breath and unlocked the stall, stepping out. Her eyes were slightly red, but she lifted her chin anyway, daring the world to see her and judge her. Ethan stood there, leaning against the sink counter like he belonged in any room, except his expression wasn't casual. It was furious. Not at her. At the world. What did she say? He asked. Maya shook her head. It doesn't matter. It matters, he said. Because you're trembling. I'm not, she lied. Ethan's gaze dropped to her hands. Her fingers were still curled tight. Maya exhaled, defeated. She implied I'm using you. That I'm strategically dating you to cover up incompetence. Ethan went still. Then very quietly he said, oh. That single syllable was dangerous. Calm. Controlled. The kind of calm that came right before a storm. Maya's heart jumped. Ethan? No, he said. We're not doing this. Doing what? Letting her treat you like that. Maya stepped closer, voice urgent. We have rules. We said we wouldn't. We said no kissing, he cut in. We didn't say I'd let someone smear you. Maya swallowed. If you confront her, she'll make it worse. Caroline is powerful. She has friends on the board. Ethan's eyes hardened. So do I. Maya froze. What do you mean? He didn't answer right away. He just looked at her as if he was deciding how much truth to give without breaking something. Then he said, meet me after lunch. Conference room B. Bring your laptop. Why? Ethan's mouth curved slightly, but there was no humor in it. Because if she wants proof you're competent, we're going to give her something she can't deny. Before Maya could respond, Ethan stepped past her, opened the restroom door, and walked out like he owned the hallway. Maya stood there, heartbeat racing. This was not the plan. The plan was to keep Javier away. To act just convincing enough to end the harassment. Not to start a corporate war. But when Maya walked back into the corridor, she realized something that made her stomach drop. Caroline Vance wasn't just threatening her reputation. Caroline was threatening her future. Because Maya had overheard rumors all week, about restructuring, about layoffs, about a performance-based streamlining. And administrative staff were always first to go. If Caroline succeeded in painting Maya as incompetent, Maya would be expendable. And Caroline would smile while she did it. Maya made it through the morning on autopilot. Answer emails. Schedule calls. Fix other people's mistakes quietly so they could take credit later. The usual. But her mind kept replaying Caroline's voice. Convenient. Strategic. Maya hated that it worked, hated that a part of her wondered if people really would believe it. Because society had always loved that story, the quiet woman who got ahead by attaching herself to the right man. Maya had spent her whole life fighting to be seen as more than that. At lunch she didn't eat. She sat at her desk, staring at her screen without absorbing the words. Then, as if summoned by the universe's cruelty, a notification popped up on her phone. A message from an unknown number. So Ethan's your new toy? Q. Doesn't change who you belong to. Her stomach turned. Javier. She blocked the number instantly, hands shaking. Another message came in from another unknown number. Tell him to watch himself. I'm not going anywhere. Maya's throat tightened. This was exactly why she'd agreed to the fake relationship in the first place. To make him stop. But instead it was escalating. Maya grabbed her coat and rushed out of the building, needing air, needing distance. The winter wind slapped her cheeks as she stepped onto the sidewalk. And that's when she saw him. Javier stood across the street, leaning against a lamppost like he had all the time in the world. He looked polished today, button-down shirt, expensive watch, hair styled. A man who wanted to appear harmless. His eyes locked on her instantly. Maya's blood ran cold. He crossed the street, slow, smiling like this was a casual coincidence. Maya, he said warmly. There you are. Her mouth went dry. You can't be here. I can, he said. Public sidewalk. I'm not breaking any laws. Maya's heart pounded. What do you want? Javier's gaze flicked over her shoulder toward the Meridian Tower. So it's true. Ethan Cole. Maya forced herself to stand still. Yes. Javier laughed softly, shaking his head like she was a child playing dress-up. That's pathetic. Maya's cheeks burned. Leave. Why? Javier's smile sharpened. Because your rich boyfriend will come save you? He's not. Maya caught herself. The lie was supposed to protect her. But here, in front of Javier, it felt like a chain around her throat. Javier stepped closer. You think you can humiliate me? You think you can replace me with someone like him and I'll just disappear? Maya's voice shook. This isn't about you. Javier's eyes darkened. It's always been about me. You just forgot your place. Maya flinched. And Javier saw it. His smile widened. He loved that reaction. He lived for it. You know what I think? He said softly. I think you're scared. I think you're pretending you're strong when you're not. And I think Ethan Cole is going to get bored of playing hero. Maya's hands trembled at her sides. Stop. You're not his world, Javier continued, voice gentle like a knife. You're a phase. A charity case. He'll toss you aside and then you'll come back. Because you always. Hey. The voice was calm. Deadly calm. Maya's head snapped up. Ethan stood at the building entrance a few yards away, coat open, hands relaxed at his sides. But his posture was different, stillness with teeth. The kind of stillness that made people instinctively step back. Javier's smile faltered, then returned. Ah, the hero arrives. Ethan walked forward, not rushed, not aggressive, just inevitability. Maya, he said without looking away from Javier. Come here. Maya's legs moved before her brain caught up. She stepped to Ethan's side, feeling instantly safer and deeply angry at herself for needing that safety. Ethan's hand came to rest lightly at the small of her back, protective but not possessive. Javier's gaze snapped to the touch. Rage flickered in his eyes. Who are you? Javier asked, though his tone implied he already knew. Ethan's voice was smooth. Someone you don't get to talk to her like that around. Javier scoffed. You don't know our history. Ethan's eyes narrowed. I know consent. I know boundaries. And I know she's told you to leave. Javier's smile twisted. So you're her new guardian? Ethan leaned slightly closer, lowering his voice. No. I'm the consequence. Maya's breath caught. Javier laughed, but it sounded forced. You think you scare me? Ethan didn't raise his voice. He didn't puff up. He simply said, if you come near her again, I'll make sure every interaction you've had with her becomes public record. Javier went still. Maya's heart jumped. Ethan didn't say it like a threat. He said it like a decision already made. Javier recovered quickly, sneering. You have no proof. Ethan's mouth curved faintly. Don't bet your life on that. For the first time, Maya saw Javier hesitate. Then, like a snake deciding to retreat for now, Javier took a step back. Fine. Enjoy your performance. He pointed at Maya, eyes cold. This ends. And when it does, don't say I didn't warn you. He turned and walked away, disappearing into the crowd like he hadn't just poisoned the air. Maya exhaled shakily. Ethan looked down at her, voice softer. Are you okay? Maya nodded, but her eyes were burning. I hate that you had to do that. Ethan's brows knit. I hate that he made it necessary. They stood there in the wind, the city roaring around them. Maya should have stepped away. She should have reminded Ethan of the rules. No kissing. No blurred lines. No letting this become something that swallowed them whole. But then Ethan's gaze dropped, again, to her lips. Just for a second. Like his brain remembered the rule, and his body didn't care. Maya's breath caught. Ethan's jaw tightened, and he looked away quickly as if angry at himself. We're late, he said abruptly. Conference room B. Now. Maya followed him back inside, heart pounding for reasons that had nothing to do with Javier. Conference room B was empty when they entered. Ethan closed the door behind them, shutting out the world. For a moment, the silence was thick. Maya set her laptop on the table, hands still shaking slightly. What is this about? Ethan leaned forward, palms on the table, eyes locked on hers. You want social justice? He said quietly. You want karma? Maya swallowed. What are you talking about? Ethan's voice dropped to a near whisper. Caroline thinks you're disposable. Javier thinks you're controllable. They both underestimate you for the same reason. Maya's throat tightened. Because I'm quiet. Because you're kind, Ethan corrected. And they confuse kindness with weakness. He straightened. We're going to change that. Maya blinked. How? Ethan tapped the table once, decisive. You're going to lead the solution presentation tomorrow. Maya froze. What? The executive board is meeting about the logistics failures that have been costing Meridian millions, Ethan said. Caroline has been pretending she has it under control. She doesn't. But you do. Maya's pulse spiked. Ethan, I don't present to the board. You will. Ethan. You built the workflow fix, he said firmly. You built the tracking system. You wrote the optimization protocol. You did the work while Caroline took credit. Maya's breath caught. Because it was true. She had done it. Quietly. In the background. Unseen. Ethan leaned closer. Tomorrow you're going to walk into that room and you're going to speak like the person you actually are. Maya's voice shook. They'll eat me alive. Ethan's eyes softened. Not if you remember something. What? He held her gaze, unwavering. You are not small. Maya stared at him, heart racing. Ethan's eyes flicked to her lips again, just a heartbeat, then back to her eyes like he was fighting something inside himself. He inhaled slowly as if choosing control. Rule 1, he said quietly. Maya's voice came out barely audible. No kissing. Ethan nodded once, jaw clenched. No kissing. But the way he looked at her made the rule feel less like protection, and more like a countdown. The night before the board presentation, Maya didn't sleep. She lay in bed staring at the ceiling, her laptop open beside her like a silent judge, the glow of half-finished slides casting pale light across the room. Numbers, charts, workflows, evidence of years of quiet labor that had never carried her name. Tomorrow they would. Her chest tightened at the thought. She wasn't afraid of the data. She was afraid of the room. Boardrooms were designed to intimidate people like her, polished wood, cold glass, seats that seemed too big, too important. Voices that talked over you. Eyes that dismissed you before you opened your mouth. And Caroline Vance would be there. Maya rolled onto her side and checked her phone. A message from Ethan sat unread, sent an hour ago. Still awake? She typed back after a moment. Yes. 3 dots appeared instantly. Want company? Her heart skipped, then immediately scolded itself. No, she typed. Rules. Pause. I meant moral support, Ethan replied. I can sit on the floor and insult PowerPoint design choices. Maya smiled despite herself. Tomorrow, she wrote. Tonight I need to remember I can do this on my own. Another pause. That I know you can. She stared at the words longer than necessary. Thank you. She turned the phone face down and closed her eyes, forcing herself to breathe. Tomorrow wasn't about Ethan. Or Javier. Or Caroline. Tomorrow was about her. The Meridian executive boardroom was already half full when Maya arrived. She stood just outside the glass doors, laptop clutched to her chest, listening to the low murmur of powerful voices inside. Laughter. Confidence. Certainty. Her reflection stared back at her from the glass. Hair neatly pulled back, blazer pressed, posture straight. She looked composed. She didn't feel it. Maya. Ethan's voice came from behind her. She turned, startled, and there he was, calm, steady, eyes warm in a way that grounded her instantly. I thought you weren't coming in until after, she whispered. I changed my mind, he said. Consultant privilege. Her lips twitched. That's not a real thing. It absolutely is if you say it confidently enough. She took a breath. I'm scared. He nodded. I know. He didn't minimize it. Didn't tell her not to be. That alone helped. You don't have to rescue me, she said quickly. No interrupting. No swooping. Ethan raised his hands. I promised you. This is your moment. His gaze softened. I'm just here to witness it. Maya swallowed and nodded. The doors opened. They stepped inside together. The room felt subtly, noticeably quieter. Caroline Vance sat near the head of the table, perfectly composed, her tablet already open. When she saw Maya, her lips curved in a polite smile that didn't reach her eyes. Ms. Ortiz, Caroline said. Didn't expect to see you here. Maya returned the smile. Good morning, Ms. Vance. The board chair cleared his throat. Shall we begin? Caroline stood smoothly. Of course. As you know, we've been experiencing minor inefficiencies in our logistics pipeline. Maya listened, heart pounding, as Caroline spoke confidently about challenges and ongoing assessments, carefully skirting responsibility, carefully framing herself as the one in control. When Caroline finished, she sat, folding her hands. I've prepared a preliminary overview, Caroline said. But before I continue, Mr. Cole mentioned there was an alternative perspective. All eyes turned to Ethan. Ethan didn't stand. He looked at Maya. Maya Ortiz will be presenting, he said evenly. A ripple went through the room. Caroline's head snapped toward Maya. Excuse me? Maya felt the weight of every gaze settle on her like pressure. This was it. She stepped forward. Yes, Maya said, voice steady despite the thunder in her chest. I will. Caroline laughed lightly. With all due respect, this meeting is for decision makers, the board chair finished. Go ahead, Ms. Ortiz. Caroline's smile froze. Maya connected her laptop. The first slide appeared. A timeline. This, Maya began, is where the money is leaking. Her voice didn't waver. She explained the flaw, clear, precise, undeniable. She walked them through data Caroline had ignored. Showed redundancies masked as safeguards. Exposed inefficiencies dressed up as complexity. The room shifted. Executives leaned forward. Questions came, sharp, skeptical, probing. Maya answered them all. Not defensively. Not apologetically. Confidently. Because this was her work. 10 minutes in, Caroline interrupted. These figures were part of my department's internal review. Maya didn't look at her. Then you'll recognize the error on slide 12. The slide changed. Silence followed. Caroline stared at the screen, color draining from her face. That projection assumes implementation without delay, Caroline said tightly. It assumes accountability, Maya replied calmly. Which hasn't happened. The board chair turned slowly to Caroline. Is that accurate? Caroline opened her mouth. Closed it. Yes, she said finally. But Maya continued, not cruel, not smug, just factual. This solution was proposed 6 months ago. It was deprioritized. Ethan watched from his seat, chest tight with pride he didn't try to hide. This wasn't about him stepping in. This was about her standing up. When Maya finished, the room was silent. Then the board chair nodded. Excellent work. One by one, others echoed it. Impressive. Why wasn't this implemented earlier? Caroline sat rigid, hands clenched. Maya closed her laptop. Thank you for your time, she said. She didn't look at Ethan as she returned to her seat, but she felt him. Felt his gaze like warmth against her back. The fallout was immediate. By lunchtime, whispers raced through the building faster than elevators. Caroline had been reassigned pending review. A task force was formed, led by Maya. Maya sat at her desk, staring at the email, heart racing. She was shaking, not from fear this time. From adrenaline. From justice. Ethan appeared beside her desk, leaning casually like nothing monumental had happened. You did it, he said softly. She looked up at him, eyes bright. I did. He smiled, wide and genuine. They finally saw you. She swallowed. I saw myself. For a moment, the noise of the office faded. They were standing too close. Maya became acutely aware of his height, his warmth, the way his eyes softened when they met hers. His gaze flicked, again, to her lips. She noticed this time. Her breath caught. Rule 1 echoed in her mind. No kissing. Ethan seemed to remember it too because he stepped back abruptly, jaw tightening. We should keep things professional here, he said. Maya nodded. Yes. The word felt heavier than it should have. That evening, Maya left the building glowing with triumph, until she saw Javier's car parked across the street. Her stomach dropped. He leaned against it, arms crossed, expression dark. Ethan was beside her instantly. Don't, Maya whispered. I can handle this. Ethan hesitated, then nodded. I'm right here. Maya walked toward Javier, heart steady this time. You need to stop, she said before he could speak. Javier scoffed. Big day, huh? Playing executive now? Maya didn't flinch. I earned it. You think today changes anything? He snapped. You're still? Still what? She asked calmly. He faltered. She smiled, not sweetly, not kindly. Still someone you don't get to talk to anymore. Javier's face twisted. This is because of him. No, Maya said. This is because of me. Something shifted. Javier saw it then, the confidence, the certainty, the line he could no longer cross. He took a step back. Don't contact me again, Maya said. If you do, I'll make sure everyone knows exactly who you are. She turned away without waiting for his response. Ethan joined her, silent, protective but no longer leading. You were incredible, he said quietly. Maya exhaled. I was. They stood there, city lights flickering around them. The tension between them felt different now, earned, dangerous, real. Ethan's eyes dropped to her lips again. This time he didn't hide it. Maya's heart raced. She stepped closer. Rule 1, she whispered. Ethan closed his eyes briefly. No kissing. But his voice shook. And for the first time, Maya wondered if the rule wasn't protecting them at all, but delaying something inevitable. The problem with crossing a line is that once you get close enough to see it clearly, pretending it isn't there becomes impossible. Maya felt it everywhere after the board meeting, in the way people greeted her by name instead of by job title, in the emails that suddenly asked for her opinion instead of her availability, in the subtle shift of power that hummed beneath every interaction. Justice had arrived quickly. Karma always did. But desire was slower, quieter, far more dangerous. It crept in during silences. Like now. Maya stood in Ethan's kitchen 3 nights later, barefoot, holding a mug of tea she hadn't touched. The apartment smelled like cedar and citrus, him. She'd been here 1,000 times before. Movie nights. Emergency dinners. Late conversations that lasted until sunrise. None of those moments had felt like this. You can sit, Ethan said gently, nodding toward the couch. I know, she replied, not moving. He watched her the way he always had, attentive, patient, but now there was something underneath it, something restrained and aching. They'd agreed to meet to talk logistics. That was the excuse. That was the lie they told themselves. Because after Javier backed off, after Caroline fell, there was only one unanswered question left. What are we doing now? Maya took a breath. We said 1 month. I know. And the reason for this, she gestured vaguely between them, is mostly gone. Ethan nodded slowly. Mostly. Her fingers tightened around the mug. So we should end it. The word landed heavily in the quiet room. Ethan didn't respond right away. He walked to the counter, leaned against it, and crossed his arms, not defensively but like he was bracing himself. If that's what you want, he said carefully. Maya's heart squeezed. I don't know what I want, she admitted. That's the problem. Ethan looked at her then, really looked at her, and she saw the truth he'd been hiding behind rules and restraint. I've known what I want for years, he said quietly. The room seemed to tilt. Maya swallowed. Ethan. I didn't plan to say that, he added quickly. And I won't push. I promised you I wouldn't. She shook her head, overwhelmed. Why didn't you ever tell me? His mouth curved in a sad smile. Because you deserved safety more than you deserved my feelings complicating your life. Her chest ached. And now, she asked. Now I'm trying very hard to remember rule number 1. Her breath hitched. No kissing. No crossing lines. No acknowledging the way his eyes softened when she spoke, or the way her body leaned toward his without permission. Maya set the mug down with a soft clink and stepped closer. Ethan, she whispered. If we stop, I don't want to lose you. You won't, he said instantly. Never. She searched his face. Even if I need time? I'll wait, he said. I always have. Something in her chest broke open. She reached out without thinking, then stopped herself inches from his arm. The pause was electric. They were standing close enough now that Maya could feel his warmth, smell his cologne, hear the subtle shift in his breathing. Ethan's eyes dropped to her lips. He inhaled sharply and looked away, jaw tight. Don't, he said hoarsely. Please. Maya nodded, tears pricking her eyes. I'm sorry. You don't have to be, he replied. This is just hard. They stood there for a long moment, neither moving, neither crossing the line. Eventually Maya stepped back. I should go. Ethan nodded. I'll walk you out. They didn't touch. And that hurt more than anything else. The next morning, Maya arrived at work to find a new problem waiting for her. Not Caroline. Not Javier. The press. A trending article flashed across her phone before she even made it to her desk. Meridian whistleblower or corporate favorite. Questions raised about Maya Ortiz's sudden rise. Her stomach dropped. She clicked the link. Anonymous sources. Speculative language. Carefully worded insinuations. Romantic involvement with consultant Ethan Cole may have influenced recent restructuring decisions. Maya's hands trembled. They were rewriting her victory. Turning justice into suspicion. Turning her into a stereotype. Her phone buzzed again, this time from Ethan. Have you seen it? She typed back with shaking fingers. Yes, I'm on my way. No, she replied quickly. If you come, it feeds the narrative. Pause. You shouldn't face this alone. I won't, she wrote. I'll face it as myself. The meeting that followed was brutal. PR advisors. Legal counsel. Executives asking questions with smiles sharp enough to cut. Maya answered everything calmly. Yes, she was dating Ethan. No, he had no influence over her proposal. Yes, her work predated his involvement. She presented timestamps, emails, documentation, receipts. By the end, the truth was undeniable. But damage wasn't always logical. Perception lingered. That afternoon, Maya found herself alone in the stairwell, breathing through the familiar pressure in her chest. She was strong. She was capable. But she was tired of having to prove it over and over. The door creaked open. Ethan stepped inside. She turned, startled. I told you not to come. I didn't, he said quietly. I stayed away from the building. I waited. He stepped closer, stopping at a respectful distance. I read every article, he said. I know what they're trying to do. Maya laughed weakly. It's working. No, he said firmly. It's failing. Because you didn't hide. You didn't apologize. You stood your ground. She looked at him, eyes shining. I learned that from you. He shook his head. No. You learned it from surviving. Silence stretched between them. Then Ethan took a breath. There's something I need to do, he said. What? He met her gaze, steady and resolved. I'm stepping away from the Meridian account. Maya froze. What? No, you can't. I already did, he said. Effective immediately. Ethan, that's your career. My career will survive, he replied. Your integrity matters more. Tears spilled over before she could stop them. I never asked you to sacrifice. You didn't, he said gently. I chose to. She covered her mouth, overwhelmed. Ethan stepped closer, close enough now that the air felt charged, dangerous. I won't let them use me to diminish you, he said. Not ever. Maya's heart pounded. She wanted to kiss him. God, she wanted to kiss him. Every instinct screamed for it. But the rule still stood. And breaking it felt like stepping off a cliff without knowing what waited below. Ethan, she whispered. If we do this, if we cross that line, there's no pretending anymore. His eyes softened. I know. And it might get harder, she continued. Messier. I'm not afraid of hard, he said. I'm afraid of losing you. Her breath shook. She closed the distance, slowly, deliberately, until she was standing right in front of him. Their foreheads almost touched. He didn't move, didn't push, didn't claim. He waited. Maya lifted her gaze to his eyes. Rule number 1, she murmured. No kissing, he replied, voice unsteady. She smiled sadly. We made that rule to stay safe. Yes. But I don't feel safe anymore, she said softly. I feel brave. Ethan exhaled, a sound that carried years of restraint. He leaned in, then stopped. He pulled back just enough to meet her eyes. Tell me to break it, he said. And I will. Maya's heart thundered. The stairwell felt too small. The world felt too loud. Everything came down to this moment. Her voice trembled, but it didn't waver. Not yet, she said. Ethan closed his eyes briefly, then nodded. Okay. The restraint hurt. But the respect mattered more. They stepped apart, breathing hard. This isn't over, Maya said quietly. No, Ethan agreed. It's just getting honest. They walked out of the stairwell together, side by side, not touching but more connected than ever. And somewhere between justice and desire, Maya realized the final test wasn't about proving her worth to the world. It was about choosing what she wanted, without fear. The morning everything finally changed didn't arrive with drama. No headlines. No confrontations. Just a quiet decision, and the courage to stand by it. Maya woke before her alarm, the city still dark beyond her window. For the first time in weeks, her chest didn't feel tight. The noise, fear, doubt, second-guessing, had softened into something clearer. Resolve. She showered, dressed, and paused in front of the mirror. The woman looking back at her wasn't invisible anymore. She stood differently now, shoulders back, eyes steady, presence undeniable. She didn't need permission to exist. She picked up her phone and typed one message. Can we talk? Not about rules. About us. The reply came almost instantly. Always. They met at the rooftop garden where it had all begun. The city stretched beneath them, glowing gold in the early light. The space was empty, just wind, sky, and the faint hum of traffic far below. Ethan was already there, hands in his pockets, posture relaxed but alert, like someone trying not to hope too much. Maya approached slowly. You look like you've made a decision, he said softly. I have. He nodded once. Okay. She appreciated that, how he never rushed her, never demanded certainty. I spent so long fighting to be respected, Maya began. At work, in relationships, in my own life. Ethan listened without interrupting. And somewhere along the way, she continued, I started confusing protection with limitation. Safety with silence. She met his eyes. You never did that to me. Ethan's voice was quiet. I tried not to. You didn't, she said firmly. You stood beside me, not in front of me. You didn't take my battles away, you reminded me I could win them. Emotion flickered across his face. So here's the truth, Maya said, heart pounding. The rule about not kissing wasn't about boundaries. It was about fear. He exhaled slowly. Fear of losing what we already had. Yes, she admitted. But I realized something. She stepped closer. If love threatens my independence, it isn't love. And if independence requires me to deny what I feel, that isn't freedom. Ethan's breath hitched. Maya. She reached for his hand this time, and didn't stop herself. I don't want a fake relationship, she said. And I don't want a safe one built on rules meant to keep us apart. His fingers tightened around hers. I want a real one, she said. With honesty. Respect. Choice. She swallowed. If you still want that. Ethan didn't hesitate. I've wanted that for 15 years. She laughed softly through tears. Figures. They stood there, hands joined, the last barrier between them paper thin. Ethan lifted his free hand, but paused. May I? He asked quietly. Maya's heart swelled at the question. Yes, she said. You may. He leaned in slowly, giving her time to pull away, to reconsider, to reclaim the rule if she wanted. She didn't. Their lips met gently, not rushed, not desperate, just certain. It wasn't fireworks. It was grounding. Like coming home. When they pulled back, Maya rested her forehead against his. Rule 1 is officially broken, she whispered. Ethan smiled. Worth it. The fallout came, but not the way Maya expected. The press story died when Meridian released a formal statement crediting Maya's work. Publicly, clearly, without qualifiers. Internal emails praised her leadership. A promotion followed, then another opportunity she'd never been offered before. People adjusted their tone when they spoke to her. Not because of Ethan. Because she no longer allowed disrespect to linger unanswered. As for Javier, one final message arrived, short and bitter. I see you now. You were never weak. I just needed you to be. Maya deleted it without replying. Some people didn't deserve closure. Ethan's decision to step away from Meridian earned him quiet respect. His career didn't suffer, it expanded. Clients followed him, drawn to integrity over proximity. They moved slowly together, intentionally. Two independent lives choosing overlap, not dependency. No hiding. No pretending. No shrinking. One evening, months later, Maya stood on that same rooftop again, watching the city lights flicker on. Ethan joined her, wrapping an arm around her shoulders. You know, he said, smiling, people still ask how we got together. Maya chuckled. What do you tell them? That we agreed not to kiss, he said, and then learned everything that actually mattered. She leaned into him, content. Justice had been served, not loudly but thoroughly. Karma hadn't screamed. It had corrected. And love hadn't rescued her. It had met her where she stood, whole, powerful, and unafraid.